Cool, thanks Jackson. Alright, let's see if we can run this guy in game. Now, when you launch the in-game test server, your item won't actually show on here, so that's okay, don't worry about that. It'll actually show up in-game in a second.
Look at all that meat, just waiting to be carved. Here I
Those
come.
guys hanging off him.
Prepare for battle.
Yeah.
Big old buck teeth.
Yeah.
Go up to a ledge so we can get a better view.
Ah, good idea.
After view is looking pretty alright too.
Right to it. Waiting in.
You guys will notice that there's actually some blood splatter on his chest as well. Those are extra triangles with alphas that I connected to the mouthpiece. So that because I can't change the actual texture on the body, I added those polygons on top with an alpha, and I rigged them exactly to the same amount that the chest is weighted to the spine bones there, so that it moves across the same. And that way you get a little bit of a cheat, you know, on changing the texture on the body a little bit. Can't do that all the time or in big areas, you know, because you'll run out of texture space pretty quick. But, you know, you get some extra little blood all over his chest, you can see there. All those extra drips from his mouth and stuff. Works great.
Oh, yes! Smells good, don't it? Oops, what's that mean? You got it.
Oh, is the music a bit loud, guys? There you go. That better?
Hi, hi! Coming through! Ah, yes. Whatever. Breathe your last. Oh, yes!
Alright, actually looking pretty good. I kind of jiggle a little bit as he walks and when he stops.
Huh?
So they don't look all stationary. Nice little hack. Little trick. Because we don't have extra bones to put on there. Use some of the bones from his little
Right.
shirt.
Forward!
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I'm playing Disaster Peace. They do a lot of 8-bit music stuff. Pretty great. They're great stuff. You can look them up, Google. They have lots of albums.
Coming through!
Alright, well, this went pretty well. Good test. And here's the hook that we worked on earlier a few days ago. And last night I textured it. I wasn't able to broadcast it because I had to get it. I really wanted to get it finished, and I ended up texturing the machete as well. So knocked both of those out last night. So let's rig. We can do this guy. Let's export the rest of these guys while we're at it. Oh, this guy we still need to... Yeah, I think pretty good. I scaled it down a little bit from when I first started. This is the old version. And this is the in-game hook. And this is our haymaker, is what we're calling this guy. Attached with intestine that he's gonna throw. Hay hook with a blade sharpened on the inside of the hook, and then the intestine holding onto it so it can pull people in. Alright, that's a pretty good spot, I think. Port this guy and check it out. Throw this guy out in the right place. And we can export it now. Thanks, Jackson. Glad you liked the splatter on the inside of the blade. A little exaggerated so you can see it from far away. Okay, both weapons are out. Now this guy. Which I think I already have this guy exported somewhere. I did somewhere. Two FPX files here. One's older, but I usually put them better after. Actually, I think I've scaled up those meshes since. So I guess I'll reskin it just so we can run through it and people can see the exercise of skinning from scratch. I'll just re-export. Okay, 2, 4. Mouth is done. And our good old intestines. Alright, let's import these guys. This mist is asking how long it takes to make an item. On average, you can if you know what you're doing and you've been in the industry for a bit, or you've been modeling and texturing and know the pipeline, you can probably get an item out probably in 2 days if that's all you do. Counting like maybe 9-hour days for each. And that's taking into consideration that you're rigging it and it's more complex than just a weapon. Because the weapon you just have to rig it to a single bone and it's all rigid, so it's super easy to do. But you have to do like the arm and make sure that the bending of the elbows and all those vertices are bending correctly, or like these intestines where I have to test quite a few times. I'm guessing it'll take a little bit longer. And then there's also making the marketing images and the beauty renders, so you can advertise it on the workshop and get people interested in it. So you gotta spend a little extra time besides just making the item itself. Here's our new arm, the Insanity Nailer. So we're gonna select our mesh, and then all the bones that we want to skin are mesh too. And for Pudge's animations, I don't think none of the thumbs are actually used. He never moves his arms or drops his weapon, so the whole entire hand and fingers are skinned to the hand bone. So we just need to select up to that bone, and we should be good. Okay. We're gonna make a bind and smooth bind. Select the joints only, maximum influence at 3. Everything checked off, drop off 4.0, and bind skinned. Now we can test it really quick and we can see that it is actually moving across along with the old or the default arm. Cool. What we want to do is now copy the weights from the old arm into our new one. so that I wouldn't have to go in there and manually repaint everything, since we actually stayed fairly close to the in-game version. We just had additions like the nails and the restraint and the texture blood all over the place. You can't see on here because I haven't brought it in, but it's just rigging. Alright, copy the spin weights. Getting complaints, so I assume it did it. So because there's no restraint before, it's freaking the hell out. So we'll have to paint those ourselves. Do it. Oh, error. I've seen that error before. Bring in the textures. Actually. Go. Or I'll have to record it and reply a bind to it. Sometimes Maya just freaks out. Probably want this bracer to be on the elbow only. Maybe a little bit on the hand bone over here, so it doesn't clip too much. It kind of pulls it a little bit, but let's replace at 100% opacity, which is completely white. If you go, oh sorry, value is completely white. If you go to 0 on the value, it's completely black. So when you paint that black, it takes away the painting, which means you're taking it away from being attached to that bone. So we have the bone selected, we have our value at 1, which is white. Opacity is at 1 because it's a pretty rigid object for now, until we do the thumb part. And here we go. That's right. Let's test that new rig. Like some of these verts that I thought were applied a little bit higher, they were completely white, are still attached to the hand, and that's where you're seeing that little jittering going around. Alright, fix that real. Fix those nails in a bit. That nail getting stretched like crazy. And let's check our shoulder. Really clipping in. That isn't by default. Like that. Huh. Default arm shoulder actually clips right into that quite a bit. So what I'm guessing is the animation actually moves this shoulder up here and doesn't really rotate this section too much. So they don't get the clip. So they're actually rotating from the clavicle, so we're actually pretty alright. Fix that nail. That should do it, I think. Oh, still one vert. Two actually. That little corner. Take your little desks. Alright, good. Good. Alright. We're gonna export our FBX. Gonna call it Sanity Nailer A. So first export. So we know if we do different versions of exports after we test it in game, we always know what letter we're on and we'll keep making new versions and always pick the right one. Export. That. Let's bring in our machete. And chopper, there it is. Extra so you guys can see it. Amaya. And this is gonna be really easy. Gonna rigid bind, or we can smooth bind to it. Game flushes down to 1. And fish. One we want to attach it to, and bind skin. Now when we select that bone, rotate it. Perfect. That was easy. Weapons are so easy, I love it. I should make more weapons. Export selection. Insanity chopper. And export. Let's bring our hook in. And this is Insanity Haymaker for Maya. And new texture. Insanity Haymaker. Color. There she is. With our intestines. Lovely. What we can do on this mesh actually. I'm making this all smooth. That's better. That's it. Maybe our normal map will fix that. Engine dependent. Let's try it without this move. Select our mesh. Select our bone we want to bind to. Bind. Already at line. Bind skin. Our bone. Perfect. Our mesh. Only our mesh, no bone when we're exporting to FBX. And we export selection. Or FBX export selected. Our settings for exporting. We have our geometry with smoothing groups. Our smooth mesh checked on as well. Reference containers content checked. Triangulate checked. Input connections checked. And scale factor automatic. And I usually export FBX 2009. Even though I think most of these will work, it's been working with 2009, so I don't want to anger the Maya gods. I don't want to mess with that stuff. Okay. Haymaker. Work. Right. Alright, Haymaker. X. Alright. Porting over here. Haymaker, chopper, nailer. Copy our haymaker to our Dota folder so we can grab those files easily when we start compiling in game. And chopper file. Our nailer file. Cool. Next. Do the other restraint. And import our insanity restraint. There she is. Delete the history because I just imported it just to be sure. Like the one we want to attach it to. It's gonna be the hand. We can actually do a rigid binding on this. Unless we wanted to rotate a little bit. Let's grab both of these. Fine. That back to 3 because we actually might want to spread some of these verts. Don't know yet. Okay, we'll buy the skin. Let's test it out. Yeah, see when the wrist turns a little bit too much, you start getting the bracer squeezed, pinching way too much. I think the vert's out. Yeah, that's way too much. We want mostly everything to be rigged on the elbow. Set this at, say, 80% opacity. Good. Try our smooth too. Take some of front. Want it to be there slightly too much. Way dark. Does the elbow remember? Alright, I think that looks pretty good. Save our file. Alright. Not too bad. Just in the area we wanted it to squeeze, but maybe too. Good there. Just this hand we have to worry about a little. This vert right here, out of whack. This guy's a tiny bit, and then we just need to smoothen out this area a tiny bit more, I think. Get that out. Oh. I think that'll do it. You know what? I don't think I wanted to squeeze the strap. Maybe just the underneath part. Yeah, very nice art. Almost left it out of place. Not want to do that. Perfect. Very nice. Board it now. Great. Hey. Cross. We did a chopper, we did the haymaker, we did the jaws I did already, you guys saw that. We did the nailer, and we did the restraint. We already rigged all those things just in however long we've been streaming so far. Really, really good. So let's do our intestines next. I imagine this will take a little bit more finesse. This will be a lot. We want a lot of these bones to drive these guys. They are like the entire spine, stomach, the neck. the shoulders, clavicle, and the right boob. He's got bones for his boobs because they jiggle. So we'll use the right boob. Left one, we're not close enough to it, so we don't get. And then we're gonna get tricky, and we're gonna use the bones down here that run the secondary animation on the skirt, and we'll rig our intestines to those bones so that the intestines, this loop of intestines will swing back and forth when he walks around and stuff. Should we rig this guy right now, or do you guys want to see the other items in game first? Like, I have to ask. So I'm just testing right now to see what parts of his back actually move with the left clavicle. And it doesn't look like we're gonna need that bone at all to drive any of our intestines. So I will not select that guy. Our back. Roll. You want the root? Take the root. And we're gonna use the stomach for sure. And not the left clavicle, but the right clavicle. And spine 1, 2, and possibly the neck. Grab the neck too. Not the head. Cool. Don't need the bicep. Running up. Hi, severed head. The thing on his mouth. That is blood and guts. They look really weird right now because there's no alpha on my material in Maya. But this is in soft image, and this is with my materials set with alpha correctly. Just got a new mouth. That's one of the items. Got bloody mouth and bloody chest, droplets and guts hanging out between his teeth. Yeah, I rigged it to the apron